Hope everybody is doing well as we get ready to have the last online dinner party for the year 2023. Next year, we'll be back in 2024 with a new season of outstanding online dinner parties and outstanding guests and all kinds of great conversations. Hope everybody is ready for a great New Year's Eve celebration. Maybe you're going to do it with a first night celebration if you're in the religious community, or maybe you're going to go out to a party. I know that in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Acorn will be dropping, and in other places they will have other things dropping to celebrate the beginning of a new year and all along those lines. So 2023 was definitely a very hectic year with a lot of things taking place that were turbulent around the world and around the nation here in the United States. So hopefully 2024 will be a better year and all along those lines. I know that I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for my own personal New Year's Eve celebrations. May go up and spend some time with mom, maybe go up and join one of those parties that I was talking about. Or who knows, I might just stay at home and watch a television version of what's going on. Or maybe I'll do as I did one other year. And I think that was around actually closer to Christmas time. But I actually spent one of the New Year's, actually I think it was the New Year's in maybe 2 years ago in the metaverse. So I actually spent New Year's in the metaverse with Russell Bundy and Mad Bop and all along those spaces. So it was definitely interesting being able to run around and see a number of things in that course of the conversation and all along those lines. So definitely a lot of people are paying attention to a number of things that are happening in the world. And definitely I've got two amazing guests, and I'll be bringing them in and we'll have conversations with them and see what they're all about. And one of them is actually in this whole notion of the technology and the metaverse. And I know that even I recently learned during the Christmas holidays what my nephews, because I don't have any kids of my own, what they might be thinking about doing in a career. And I know that one of them, actually both of them, might be involved in gaming, because I want to say that they spend some time, even though I didn't see them doing that much during this time around and everything on Thanksgiving when we were together, because it's Christmas I went up with my brother and spent it with my mom and one of my cousins, and they had gone up earlier and all along those lines to spend time with mom. But even during Thanksgiving, I don't remember seeing them on the Oculus as much as I have seen them in the past. But I do know that they love their games and they love being on the Oculus and being involved in virtual reality, and who knows, maybe even some augmented reality and other things in that space, as they are 14 and 15 as of this past August. And I recently learned what they're interested in doing as careers. So I think the youngest one is thinking about going into architecture. And if I remember correctly, my brother told me that the oldest one is debating between law or biology, and as his grandfather was a no, I'm taking that back. It was between, yeah, that's right, between law and biology, and as his grandfather was a biologist, and the biology building over at North Carolina Central is named after him, the Lee Biology Building, and all in that space. That might be good for him to follow in that tradition and all in that space. And actually, that wouldn't be his grandfather, that would be his great grandfather, because that's who the biology building is named after, is actually my dad, who is his grandfather's dad, and all in that space. So, and they never got to know great grandfather James Sumner Lee, who my dad is named after, and all in that space. But they definitely know that that is where my dad himself gets some of his love of science and all along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see if they go into those fields. I know that my brother was also mentioning that I think at the end of this year or the end of this semester, like around May or something like that, his girlfriend's daughter will be completing college, and looks like she is getting a degree in education, and will probably be doing that whole teacher student teacher thing, because as he was reminding me, I think that's mandatory for just about any teacher to go into in that space. And her younger brother, my brother's girlfriend's son, is actually thinking about going into engineering. And I think that with his very good grades, he'd probably get into any engineering school that he wants to get into, and all along those lines. So, like I said, I've got some amazing guests. Looking forward to the conversation with them, seeing what they've got on their mind, and a number of other things, see how the weather is treating them, because right now it's a little bit on the drizzly side, and it's been raining and drizzly all day. Actually, I think it started yesterday when we were having the Kwanzaa celebration at the Hayti Heritage Center, and it's definitely been doing it steadily on today as well here in Durham, North Carolina. But the temperatures are definitely not winter-like, because even when I stepped outside and threw away a little bit of garbage and everything, I think that it still felt like it was around 50 or 60. And I want to say that Christmas time was around the 60s as well. If I remember correctly, Nosley is over there in the Delaware area. And I don't think that, even though they've been a little bit unseasonable as well, I don't know that they are as unseasonable as some of these other places may be, and all in that space. So I'll bring in Nosley Ozturkman and find out about her book that she's got and all in that space. I hope that I pronounced the name correctly, because I've been doing a bad job also on this show as well as on other shows of butchering a couple of names. I even did it on the panel discussion we had on Kwanzaa when I was mispronouncing Abina, and I believe I pronounced it correctly now's name, and she's in the whole space of vegetarianism and a number of other things in that space. But we were having a conversation around health and wellness and being totally unified in both having good physical health, good mental health, good spiritual health, and a number of other things as part of the panel that I moderated there. And I might even get a chance to download it and bring it onto this network, Pod TV, as well. But a lot of people, when they think about this wonderful world that we're going into, crypto and the metaverse are big topics. We used to have a metaverse show here on the network that we don't have anymore, but I think that young lady, Nicole, is still involved in the metaverse and is still very much involved in that space. And who knows, maybe we'll get another metaverse show at some point or another. But I hear your book is entitled Transformers by Crypto, and that's an interesting title, because whenever I think of Transformers, I think of that old TV series and all along those lines. So I was wondering how you even came about this title. And apparently the book is doing very well and is sold all over the world, but mostly in the US, and it was released in August of this year. And apparently the book talks about crypto technologies and world Web 3. And some people even wonder what Web 3 is. I know I hear that term all the time. And some people are like, well, what is this Web 3? But it talks about Web 3 transformed games, gamification, which I do know that a lot of people say that life in general is about gamification, identity, community, art, which is something very important to me, and design. So I've got a lot of questions that I'm curious about and all along those lines. But I guess the first question is, how did you come up with this title?
Hi, Mark, by the way, and thank you for having me in your show. That's great. By the way, as you mentioned about the weather, I'm in the Europe at the moment, not the Delaware. So it is almost like summer or, spring. So I think we have similar things. Okay, what's going on? I was expecting snow in the Christmas and New Year time, but no. But anyway, so very nice question to start. The title of the book. Yeah, of course, I like Transformers, but it's not about that. So, what are they transformed already with these crypto technologies and Web3? I will explain very shortly, very briefly, and of course, in the basic explanation, all of these concepts why we are chatting with you today. But maybe I can just start with the title, as you mentioned. It's a good point.
Yeah.
There are lots of things, of course, changing day by day with the technology, with the culture, in our daily lives, with the new products in digital sites, of course. And this is very normal and the expected thing that things should change day by day and year by day. But the good part is some hype technologies, like some, crypto-based technologies, or with the AI or with the Web3, etc. They seems for people like they're hype, but no, they already became the normal of our daily lives. Actually, it's not a hype. It's normal, ready to stay here. So when I say crypto, all of people understand and first think come to their mind about cryptocurrencies. It's normal, I understand. But of course, it's not about only the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is only one of the result or one of the product of crypto technologies. So crypto means, it's about some security softwares and security things in all of the concepts. So when I say crypto technology, when I say cryptocurrency or something that, it means cryptographic developed things. So this is money, this is something, this is etc. Then this is cryptographically secured. Then when we come to Web3, I won't make a definition in very technical, because I have already write this book to people who are not involved technically, who are not know every technical details of these concepts, because I'm already in technical way in this sector, in this market, but people don't have to be there. So I tried to make a storytelling about what are all these things that we are hearing about: metaverse, NFT, crypto, DAO, and etc. So what were they before? Money was money 100 years ago, okay? But what happened? What transformed it? So, for example, we were, using some physical places to meet together, or at least online. But what is the metaverse? Why do we need this? Why did it come to our lives? So I try to explain all of these concepts in storytelling style, not in technically, to everybody, with a smooth transition, and try to do it in understandable way. So let's start with the Web3, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I say Web3, then there should be something Web 1 and Web 2, right?
Right.
So, yeah, Web 1 is, I think it's 20 years ago or something. So when we were only reading, for example, when we Googling something or writing something, searching in Yahoo or something, we were only reading things. I mean, consuming some content in internet, right? But after that, many years later, something happened and something came to us as a product and as a software or as any application. Then we started to create some content, right? You are also creating some content in your streams. I am creating some content, like writing things, books, some blog articles, or social media. Even a post is a content. So Web 2 came with read and write, because Web 1 was only about reading. And then in this last 3 or 5 years, the third version of this environment came to us: read, write, and own. Did you hear this wording before? Content is the king, as a content creator. You heard about it, of course. But in Web3, the content creator is the king. If you're asking why, because we are creating a content, of course, the quality is important for sure. But as a content creator, we, giving an effort to do something, giving a value to community, to, readers, watchers, and all the community, all the people, then we should have some value, just because of we are creating something, because we are adding some value to community. We are adding some value to web, etc. So as a content creator, or as a just player who contributes to all this digital environment, is the king. Okay, we are the king right now.
King and the queens and all along this.
Yeah, of course.
They're doing some amazing content creation as well. As a matter of fact, I'm going to definitely continue the conversation around Web3 and everything, but we have a amazing content creator that I want to bring onto the show as well, because she's doing some stuff around something that I know is a major goal. I know it should be a goal of mine. I will just admit some of my faults. I am sometimes a little bit overly messy. I said that I put out some stuff in the garbage can and the apartment needs some major cleaning and all along those lines. But I am also probably eating out way too much. As a matter of fact, I ordered DoorDash earlier and all along those lines. And one of those content creators would say that we need to stretch into success and all in that space. So Laura, Noel, can you help me? Because like I said, I just did the whole thing of DoorDash earlier, and I know that I probably got on some extra pounds that I don't need. And you seem like you're doing some great content creation yourself, because you've got a whole program where you got the pre-workout and the post-workout, and I have looked at your Stretch to Success and all in that space, and I'm going like, yeah, I probably need to do some stretches. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine at the Kwanzaa celebration was asking me if I could do a squat, and I was having a hard time doing that squat, and that's a very simple exercise. So definitely I am not in the most exercise mindset at this particular time. So speaking of content creation, I see that you've got all kinds of quick exercises that maybe can help me live a more healthier life when I looked at your content on Stretch to Success and everything. Because I know that a number one goal, I don't know about for my other guests and everything, but I know that come January 1st, a lot of people are going to be wanting to break some bad habits, whether that is eating out way too much, and they're probably going to want to have a healthier life. And as I mentioned before, I had a guest on the panel that I was part of yesterday, and we were talking about the alignment of all of us as individuals, meaning our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, and all the elements of who we are as humans and everything. And I would even add to that sometimes our fiscal health as well, because I know that Nosley is trying to figure out ways that we can be more fiscally better as well. But what is your thoughts about this whole notion, Laura, of what we can do? And is there any hope for me actually being able to do a squat or maybe a jumping jack later? Because I am, I just hit the magic, let's see, today is December the 27th. So on January the 1st, I will be half a year away from getting toward 60, what's coming up? 60, born 62. So I'll be very close to 61 and everything.
Okay. Well, first of all, yes, there is hope for you. There's hope for everyone. And it's interesting because I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for inviting me. So what I love about what I do is it's the mindset. It's really about stretching your mindset around your fiscal health, your physical health. You know, all of that is encompassed in Stretch into Success. So it's the mindset behind all of that. And so I think about this time of year, everybody's kind of hitting the cookies and the extra glass of wine. And I was going to start a new workout regimen coming up in January. I actually started today because I'm like, why would I wait? I'm starting now. So I started some boxing. I was like, whoa, this is fun. I've never done this before. But think about everybody this time of year or going into the new year who say, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to do this new fitness thing. And for a while, they do really well. Maybe for a couple of months, they do well, even like financially. I'm going to go on a fiscal diet, whatever that is. They do really well for a little while. And then they see some progress. But then over time, they slowly start to find those pounds that they lost or fall back into old habits. Well, that's where I step in and help people. So it's not in the physical part of it, it's in the mindset part of it. We get stuck in those old habits and we don't change permanently and create new habits because we are stuck in those old beliefs and those old paradigms and programs that govern our habitual behavior. And most of our behavior is habitual. So there is hope for you. There is hope for me. There's hope for all of us. But it all starts with your mind.
Yeah, that mind thing is a very important thing. And even speaking of hope, and definitely the conversation will go on a lot of different directions. That's why I love the online dinner party, because it gives me the ability to carry the conversation in a lot of different directions and everything. And by the way, that birthday will be actually 62. So I'm actually 61 now, and in 2024 will be 62, and all in that space. I was doing the quick math and all along those lines. But, you know, one of the things that you were just kind of alluding to, and even Nosley was alluding to it as well, is this notion of the way that society is changing. Because I've heard some people that literally think that the dollar is going the way of the dodo bird, and that we might not even be dealing with the dollar eventually, and maybe we'll all be doing stuff that'll be more like fintech and some of this crypto kind of things that are going on in the world. So is the dollar going to still figure around? Because I know it's a gold-based currency. And I've had some other guests that have literally said that, yeah, that's going to be a thing of the past, and maybe we won't have as much of that and everything. And I'm very curious because I'm thinking that even what you do, Laura, is doing some gamification. But before we get to the gamification part and everything, I'd love to hear from Nazli about this notion of, is the dollar going to be around for a while? Because I know you were in the fintech industry as well. Or are we going to see a shift? Because I know some people are getting excited or even scared about this whole organization called BRICS and everything that some people are thinking may replace the dollar eventually. But what's your take? Is the dollar around, or is the dollar going to be, people said hip hop wasn't going to be around 50 years, and it's lasted for 50 years. And people probably said the dollar had a death a long time ago and it's still around. So I don't know if the dollar is going to survive or not survive, but what is your take on the dollar's future? Nazli?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not an expert of, financial analysis, and I don't care actually. But the good part is we are jumping in the era of democratization of the money. So we have ability to have our own money, not stick on the, federal banks or central banks. So we are lucky that Web3 serves us as a democratization, also the assets, the money, and also all the transactions. Like, of course, I can do some financial transactions anonymously, but not a secret or not as unsecured, anonymously from me to you directly, peer to peer. Or I can keep my own assets and all the currencies just independently from the government, from central banks. So I care about this part, actually, democratization of the as an individual or as a citizen to hold my own assets. So I have really no idea. I'm sorry, Mark, but because I'm not a financial, I'm not a financial analyst. But of course, I care about this because I'm also a global citizen. Mm-hmm. Even I'm in Europe, even I'm in US. So United States dollars somehow manage our daily life, all the things, even in Europe, even in US. I hope everything will be better in 2024. I'm not sure if these all, gossips will be realized and we will jump to gold or, Bitcoin standards, but let's see. I'm not sure it will happen just in one month or in one quarter. Actually, the good part is, when we are talking about also Web3, some small definitions. By the way, Laura said it is about mindset. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I agree with that. Web3 is also about mindset. It is not only about technology. Let's forget about the technology. Then it is a mindset, because we are putting some freedom about the data security. It is about all the communication between peer to peer. Not we are avoiding just the central things behind us. We are not sending our money between us, between peers. It is not going to any central places like banks or institutions or any approval places. So it is going from me to you directly, or any data, any message, anything, any information, even in social media or even in streaming. So this is good, the more democratized and more secure way. And I think that was a good point, starting from money and dollars, but mentioning the democratization and this decentralization is one of the things that I would like to mention about Web3.
Yeah, no doubt about that and everything. And I also know that you co-founded a company called SciSoft3, which is definitely established in Delaware, and it is building a gamified social personal finance mobile app for Generation Alpha. So share a little bit about what that's all about as well, because definitely you're one of the co-founders of this particular company.
Yeah, you were telling about your nephews in the beginning of the show.
Yes.
So that's good because as far as I hear about their ages, they are alpha generation as well. So that is good because between 8 or 6 years old to 21, 20 years old at the moment, they are generation alpha. It is good. Focusing on them is so important because the generation Z is passing an age which is older than 30 and around that. So we don't care about them. They are already survived. So we care about mostly generation alpha. In CSOF 3, we are building at the moment, we are developing a mobile app, which is gamified financial literacy mobile app, which means we will actually try to give basic daily financial literacy information, but with a gamified way, which means it is not a training, it is not an education, it is not a boring or old-fashioned things. The focus user is alpha generation, then they are so digital, they are so global, they are social. They are so different than us, from me, from you, from Laura, our ages. So they are natively digital and technological people. They are natively born into, metaverse area. But the financial literacy is so important because just think about your ages and our ages. We didn't learn all the daily finance education in schools. We didn't learn. We haven't learned. And also my son is not learning at the moment. They only learn about, okay, this is $1, $10. So come on, this is not a financial literacy. So we have to manage our money, even in that year, even 50 years later. So financial literacy, managing money, personal finance is so crucial for everybody, every country, everywhere. So we are building this mobile app focusing to alpha generation because, they are the mass people around here and they are growing. And the good thing is statistic and data says 23% of alpha generation or children are the decision maker for their parents, even now, because they influence something to their parents, and then parents decide to buy something or consume something. So this is very nice data because we have to give this education, this financial literacy education to generation alpha. It is so important. We are in, metaverse era. We are in this NFT, crypto, blah, blah era. So we have to give all these new next generation finance concepts as well. That is why we care about, because it is not only commercial things. We really believe in how important is financial literacy. When I say gamified app, this means, okay, you cannot just give some, training or lectures in an app to these people, to these young adults. Of course, it is with some gamification steps. They are earning some points, and then they convert it to, some crypto or the fiat money like dollars, no problem. So they are spending on demand, or they are saving, they are creating their own financial goals, because they have to learn their money management, personal money management. And there is an AI-based financial assistant there in that app. So this assistant will assist them while they are managing their financial goals. And so it is not live, so that is why I will share just limited features, unfortunately. But this is what we are doing in CSOF 3 in Delaware.
Yes.
I hope we will find a good investment, and then we will go live as soon as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like a great opportunity. One of the reasons that the network Pod TV was founded was because both Nick Palveda, who is a pension attorney, and Kim Calhoun are of the opinion that we don't teach enough about fiscal literacy and all along those lines, just in general, and particularly in our school systems. And that was
Absolutely.
a frustration of theirs, and they were trying to get more entrepreneurial training as well as more training in the
Mhm.
financial lanes and everything. And Laura, I don't know if you remember, but when I was growing up, and I did mention my age and everything, one of the games that taught me a little bit about fiscal literacy and about just the notion of finances, and some people would say it taught you a little bit too well about capitalism and everything, was this lovely game called Monopoly. And I don't know
Of
that our
course.
kids played Monopoly as much as we did, and all into that space, because you try to buy a Boardwalk or a Park Place or a number of other places and try to succeed in that particular game and everything in that way. But I don't know that we are seeing enough of that in general. But I just wanted your take, Laura, because I don't know if you're a parent or not, as to whether my two co-founders of the network, Kim Calhoun and Nick Pavleda, are correct in thinking that we need to do a better job of teaching our young people about fiscal literacy and fiscal responsibility.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't have that training growing up. I barely knew how to balance a checkbook, and I didn't want to listen to my parents. So I played Monopoly too. I wish I would have known before, and not only financial literacy, but wealth building,
Mhm.
because that's not something that we are taught in school either. And, what is risk and investing? None of that was taught. So I think that's critically important. People that are learning it now at a young age are just going to be so much farther ahead. And we're making up for lost time, but I think that's incredible. It's so important, and congratulations too on what you're creating, Nazil.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, you are right. By the way, every single thing, investment, money management, absolutely.
Yeah, just along those same lines, what is one of the biggest things? I'll get to the gamification part in a minute, but just in terms of creating your own business, Laura, what is one of the things that surprised you? Because like I said, you do have this whole concept of what you're doing with Stretch for Success and all along these lines. So, and you do put out and we were talking earlier with Nazli about content creation, and I have
Yep.
seen some of your YouTubes, and there are definitely steady content creation that you are doing and all along those lines. But what is some of the things that surprised you just about creating a business in general?
I think initially when I started my business, so I started coaching and consulting mindset back in 2017 as I transitioned out of the military. And I invested a lot in myself in coaching. And I think that I wasn't afraid to do that, but I see a lot of people out there who are afraid to invest in themselves because they're starting their business and they're trying to keep all of their money close and they're not investing in the most important asset, which is themselves, who's going to be starting the business and running the business. But one thing that surprised me was when I started my business, I thought that I needed to have all of the mechanisms in place before I could start finding and working with clients. But the truth was, I didn't have a website. I didn't have business cards. I had me and I had people in my life, and I would meet with them and talk with them about what I was doing. And that's how I grew my business, was just one conversation at a time initially. So it was surprising, honestly, how little you need, depending on your service that you're providing, obviously, but how little you need and how much your mindset can stop you from really stepping forward and taking massive action. Because I work with people, and I have worked with people over the years who were doing the exact same thing, and they just weren't making it happen because they kept throwing up all these obstacles in their mind. But the obstacles are not true. They don't exist. We make them so. So that was the surprising thing, is learning that, understanding it, and living it.
And along those same lines, because one of the things that I've talked about to a number of guests here on the Online Dinner Party, as well as other guests on other shows here on Pod TV, is we are notorious, meaning we as humans, for being our worst critics and sometimes being our worst enemies, and all along those lines. So both of you are successful entrepreneurs and successful female entrepreneurs at that and everything. But how much did you have to get over that self-doubt, that inner critic? Because I know that there have been jobs in the art world that I literally talked myself out of, and all in that space. I am 60, about to be 62, as I mentioned earlier, and still in that single space. And I know there have been relationships that I have talked myself out of as well, because, you know, you think that you're not good enough, they're going to turn you down, and that whole rejection notion and all along those lines. So how have you been able to get past that? Because I do know that that is something that many people, no matter what field they are going into, are constantly facing, is that inner critic that is telling you, no, don't do it, don't go for the job. Because I can't tell you how many times there were jobs that I should have gone for, and I would have that conversation, and by the time you get the nerve to go find out what the status of the job or the relationship, the lady has left the building, or the job has left the building as well. So how have you dealt with those inner critics and everything? Because I know it's something that we all face, and I'd love to hear y'all's advice to others that are watching this show as to how to fight it.
Yeah, that was a big part of my journey, teaching people to overcome that fear, and then being relatively new in that realm and learning, using myself as an instrument, really, to experience it. But I learned really early on from one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, who has passed away. But he taught me to embrace fear. And I learned really early on that if I wasn't setting goals that made me excited and scared at the same time, then I wasn't moving forward. I was moving laterally. And I was really good at being busy. Trust me, I could be the queen of busy. I was busy, and it could look like I was doing a lot, but I wasn't really moving forward. I was just busy doing kind of the same level things in different areas. So when I learned to embrace fear, I use that to let me know that I'm going in the right direction. Example, when I first started, somebody asked me to do a 3-hour workshop for safety professionals, OSHA in Hawaii. And I'd never done anything like that before. And they're like, could you do that? And I said, yes, I can. Never did it before. And then I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for 3 hours? Oh my God. I was driving to the event. I was prepared. I was super uber prepared. Driving to the event, I didn't realize how stressed I was until a friend of mine called me. And then toward the end of our call, she said, you know what? You are such an incredible speaker. You got this. I've seen you grow so much over the years. And I started to cry. And that's when I realized, how stressed I was. But I was afraid, but I acted as if, and I stepped through the fear anyway. And when I finished, there was a woman who was part of a trade magazine. She was standing in the doorway, and she's like, are you an international speaker? And I went, yes, I am. I became that person. So literally, when we understand what fear is just our old self keeping us stuck. Right? That, when we're doing something consciously we know is for our benefit, and we're moving forward and we have goals, that fear is trying to pull us back to the old version of ourselves. And when you understand that what's going on in your mind, you can use your mental faculties to help you navigate through it and step through it, because you know that on the other side, one, that fear is tissue paper thin anyway. And then you become that person you envision when you step through it. And so that's something that's always been a guiding light for me. And no matter what I'm doing, like now I'm finishing my doctorate. So next, in a few months, I'll be Dr. Laura Noel. And with that comes different opportunities and different responsibilities. And I'm always saying yes to things, even just like I would never put myself in a bad position, but something that's a challenge. I say yes, and I figure it out, and I do it. It's all in the realm of organizational psychology and leadership psychology, but that's been my guiding light.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nasli, you are co-founder of this business and everything, and I'm sure there were times that you were wondering about starting this business and everything. So the same question to you: how have you conquered that fear, or is it still a fear that you face even now and everything? But how do you deal with that fear as y'all are launching this business of yours?
Very nice point. I think I'm a bit brave one because I'm taking risks. But I'm not 100% of these brave, I do everything person, because, life is hard. We have to earn our own money, and plus till earning our own money, I have to work in other company, for example, or taking risk affect all the life you have, like, your family, your own business, or the where you're working. Your time is so important, because I was spending few hours in late evenings and few hours in weekends when I was writing my book, for example. So time equals to money as well, for example. But I take this risk, and then I try to do something, because I didn't fear too much. I stepped, and then I did it, thankfully and finally. And in this business, in my entrepreneurship story, I also decided to do something with an own brand, and I take this risk. I'm trying to do with my business partner, and trying to develop this digital product. But this is a risk. We will see if it will work or not. But Laura mentioned a very nice point with that. When you fear from something, if you don't have a force to just try, just one step, then you don't know the result, if you will fail or if you will succeed. Let's make a small steps, try, look around what's happening, if it's going well or not. Let's try another step, because in this century, I mean, we are in 2024, stepping in just 1 week later. So everything is more easy than 10 years before. Establishing a company is easy. Making a digital product is easy. But, you have to be sustainable. You have focus. You can fear, you can manage your risk, and you can manage your feelings. But if you have a good target, personal target, or a business target, or a career target, whatever you have, I think trying is with a small steps, like, some agile methodology, a small step, some minimum viable product, not with the big, you cannot set up and you cannot have something very big in just 1 month, but you can try. I think it is very hard, by the way. I'm not speaking, too much bravery part, but yeah, of course, there are some fears and taking risk. And Laura, may I ask you something? Your coaching topic is so good, by the way.
Thank you.
It is very nice to meet you in this show.
Likewise.
Do you, for example, recommend people in their, business decisions, or, stepping something to do like an entrepreneur? Do you blindly recommend them to try something? Or do you try to realize their own potential, if they can do something really successfully or not? Yeah. This is very basic question, maybe, but I wonder to hear from you as well, if it is okay for you, Mark.
Yeah, perfectly fine. That's what I love about the dinner party. It's a casual conversation with people talking to each other like you would at a dinner party. So go for it.
Yeah, when I'm talking with somebody, one, I want to make sure that whatever it is that they want to do, it's their goal and it's their desire, not somebody else's or what they think they should do. Because I coached at the Learn Center for Entrepreneurs for a few years, and there are a lot of people there who would start digital entrepreneur kind of endeavors, but some people were doing it because they thought they could make money in this thing, but it's not where their passion was. And so I think you need to fuse the two, because there's going to be hard days and you're going to hit roadblocks and obstacles, whether you're passionate or not. But it's that passion and that connectedness to that vision and that goal that's going to help you navigate and push through those hard spots. So I think it has to be something that the person wants to do. It has to be a genuine desire. And it's interesting because there are sometimes I know people who had limitations where they wanted to do a certain thing and they were passionate about it, and they had some physical limitations toward doing it, and that didn't stop them. They had a strong desire. They wanted to do it. And guess what? There's always a way to do it by surrounding yourself with people who can help you and you can help them. You don't have to do all the things to run your business. You can rely on your talents, your passion, your ideas, and then bring people in who can help you, and you can create something much stronger. But I wouldn't say that somebody should blindly follow a path because, people are making money this way, let's do that, because they're doing it that way. No, because you're probably not going to be successful because you don't have that desire to do that thing. Find something that you're passionate about, and then it won't feel like work.
Hey, Laura, along those same lines and everything, just out of curiosity, one of the things that I know I've been guilty of is that you sometimes have friends that will and acquaintances that will sometimes hijack your dreams and everything because they want you to kind of like fall into their ambition and what they are about and all along those lines. So I'm sure that even as a coach, you have dealt with that where somebody has got a strong passion about their business and they want to pull you into their business, but it might not necessarily be your dream or your vision and everything. So I was just wondering, how do you address that? Because I'm sure as a business coach, you have run across that where people are being pulled in. It might be a corporation, it might be a fellow business entrepreneur, but they are pulling them into their dream, and it isn't necessarily the dream of the person and all along those lines. So I'm just wondering how you deal with that, because I think that is more common than people would like to admit to.
I've worked with people who they were the ones being pulled in different directions. And it's a scary thing to, like, one person that I knew was a part of some really prestigious boards, and he was on these boards, but he had a vision for the way he wanted to live his life. And he wasn't living his life that way. Like, he was working till 3 a.m, loved his work, loved being the go-to person. But there's a part of that if we're that person being pulled in all these different directions, first and foremost, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And he had to take responsibility for himself and understand what's happening in his mind. Like, if you are the go-to person and everybody wants you and it feels good being wanted, that becomes a part of your existence. That becomes a part of who you think you are. But you're so much more vast than that. And so helping that person craft an image of who they would want to be. Who would they be without that? Like, I had somebody ask me, even after I retired from almost 28 years in the military, I still was clinging on to it. And I still love the military and I still serve them. And I have very strong connections there. But somebody said to me one time, who would you be without the military? Whew. That was an eye opener for me. Who do I want to be? Like, that was service that I did, and I'm proud of it. And I'm always going to be connected, and I'm always going to want to serve. But who am I? Who is Laura Noel? And who do I want to be? And how do I want to serve? How do I want to feel at the end of the day? How do I want other people to feel when they interact with me? And so I get people to focus on that. And when they have that vision or dream that they're passionate about and they're getting pulled, okay, does this align with that vision? So we'll start having those conversations. Or are you avoiding doing the thing? Let's talk about that. because sometimes people will get, oh, well, I got pulled into this. No, you made a conscious choice. Do you want to talk about it? And so we might uncover some things, like maybe there's a fear of actually stepping forward toward the dream. What would that mean? Who would I be? So we just have to learn how to get out ahead of it and have some strategies in place to navigate through it when we're faced with it.
Yeah, well, there's a very simple word. I think there's only 2 letters. Matter of fact, I know it's only 2 letters, but I sometimes think that business owners and particularly entrepreneurs have a hard time sometimes using that word N-O and all along those lines. So I just wonder how much of that is an issue as well. And just for both of you, are there times that you even had to have the courage to say no to some of the opportunities that were being presented that might not have been as beneficial as you were thinking that they would be? Because I know a lot of times we don't want to say no, even though it's a very powerful word, and sometimes it's a word that we need to say and everything. So how often has that happened as well?
That's happened to me every time I'm leveling up in my career and my journey. When I'm in certain working relationships or taking certain contracts or working with certain people, and it starts not to feel right, I know, okay, when this ends, I'm not going to offer the next step. Or if, I'm on a call with somebody, I'm also interviewing them. Is that person a right fit for me as a coach? But that is a big piece of it. And when we don't say no, when we hoard opportunities, it's kind of like our closet in our house. Like if we have all of our clothes from the 1980s in our closet, we don't have room for today. Right? So we've got to purge that stuff to create space. And if we don't create space, what you're letting go of. That's the scary thing, because you can see it. You don't know what's in the future, but you can create it. But if you don't leave the space and you don't say no, you've got to make a decision and make decisions, not like the person you are now, but the person you want to become.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And that's the value in coaching and having that thought partner, right? It's you have to say no to the things that are no longer serving you to make space for the opportunities that are right for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Another thing that I know has been talked a number of times on the Online Dinner Party, as well as a number of other shows here on Pod TV, is this notion. I'd love to hear how y'all balance it and everything, because you even alluded to it earlier, Nasla, and everything. This notion of work-life balance, particularly when there is more than one job. Because I've got a friend that is very much involved in the funk music community, but he is also driving for Uber and doing a number of other things. So he's having to balance what I call the substance jobs, or the jobs that help pay the bills until the other things take off the way that he would like them to take off, and all in that space. And he's not a spring chicken either. I think he's like in his mid-60s. He might even be 65, but he had some success in the past and is hoping to reestablish and get more of that success again and everything. But I just wondering, how do you do that work-life balance, particularly if you are having a regular job? Because I do know a number of entrepreneurs have regular jobs while they are building their entrepreneurial businesses as well. And we're not even talking about the kids, if you've got kids, and a mate if you've got one of those as well, because that's a whole nother conversation in that work-life balance. So I'll start with you now. So how do you balance that work-life balance? And then I definitely want to hear from Laura as well, because you just mentioned that you have this corporation that you are founding or co-founding, and I'm sure you also mentioned you've got some other regular jobs as well. So how do you do that work-life balance? And you were also writing that book as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think receiving or having a support, from family, husband or son or friends are so important in that. Because my business partner is also a mom and, married and has another full-time job, and me as well. But, when we have a goal about creating our own business, then we are going in that target. So we believe in our idea, or even writing a book in my personal brand. I believe to do this action. So I didn't give up. We are not giving up. Work-life balance is kind of, another gamification thing, actually, because, we are trying to keep our high motivation to do something social with the family, but maybe sleeping late time and then writing something, thinking, or planning, drawing some flow charts for the app, etc., or working with the designer with the late nights. But that's okay if you believe what you want to do, or if you really want to do that. So sleeping less, or giving you a motivation, maybe working with a career mentor, or asking a kindly support from your family is fine with me, actually. I'm not sure what Laura or you are, Mark, thinking about that personally. This is not a professional suggestion, but I believe that if you believe your target and believe yourself and you really want to do that, so working and work-life balance is depends, what is the priority one. For me, writing that book was priority, because I really believe in all these topics is becoming our daily normal. This is not a hype and then going down. So I really want to share my 10 plus years professional career and this knowledge to everybody. Yeah, I believe in that. And then I didn't sleep so much, or I was tired, but I focus and then write it and publish. In this entrepreneurship journey, it is the same. I believe what I'm doing together with my business partner, and then I will do that. Yeah, I'm tired, I'm 40 years old, but no way, I will do that, because we became to life only once, and then we should try.
That makes a lot of sense and everything. Laura, just really quickly, I'd love to hear your thoughts about work-life balance, but also how important is it to know if within that work-life balance, the personality types, because that's something else sometimes that I find, and I know that you've done some research in linguistics, not neuro-linguistics, but some of the neurology stuff as well, and all in that space. And I don't know that we enough have an understanding of the different personality types. And I actually have a friend that has got some conversations around pandas and some other things in that kind of lane. And they often talk about the personality types. That's my good friend, Kelly Jones, and everything. But I don't think that we as individuals, even in entrepreneurship, do enough of a job of understanding the different personality types that we're dealing with, because it could actually make the businesses, whether it's an entrepreneurial business or just being in a work business, better if we understood some of those personality types that we are dealing with and can deal with them by having a better understanding of where they are coming from and everything. But I don't know that that's even taught in schools as well. But there's one that has got some training in that. I was wondering your thoughts around that and everything.
So if I start thinking about the work-life balance, I think of work-life integration first and foremost. And, there's going to be times when you feel really energized and you're putting more time in building something, and you should ride that wave. And, but where I am, I feel like the people in my life are really important. And yes, I work for what I want, but if there's not joy and I'm not rested, then I'm just working for the sake of working.
Right.
I'll give you an example. When I first started my business, I was working full time. I was in the military. And to start out the gate earning six figures in the business, which was what I wanted, it's what I had in my career. I had this number in my head of how many people I would need to talk to. And then so many of them wouldn't show up, or so many of them would say yes, and so many would say no. It was a ridiculous amount of people that I would have had talked to on the weekends. And my mentor said, so you're working 12 hours a day, including your commute to and from work. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's not a lot of time. He said, I only want you to talk to 2 people a week. And I was like, what? 2 people a week. And if you don't move one of them, then work on your presentation. It was like I had the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders. I joyfully talked to 2 people a week. That's it. I had so much fun. I loved my business. I woke up enthused to work on it. And that's when my business catapulted.
Wow.
So I know this is weird, might seem counterintuitive, but I put myself first. My connection to God, source, myself, my well-being, my meditation, that always comes first because that fuels everything I do. If I'm tired and I have hard deadlines and I'm like, oh, I got to get it done, and I'm feeling like I'm not getting anywhere, the counterintuitive thing is to go take a nap, take a walk, or meditate. But that's exactly what I do. And when I do that and come back later, I get so much more done in a more compressed amount of time. So it's also when I make decisions like the person I want to become, not like the person I am now. I'm not doing all of the things. I'm only doing the things that are in harmony with where I want to go. So prioritization, Nasli had mentioned that, prioritizing, but you want to prioritize based on who you're about to be in the future, not where you are now. So it's a few things that come into play that help me balance my life, but make no mistake about it, I put my well-being first and my relationships always.
Well, along those same lines, and I'm loving the titles of both of your books and everything, because I did do some research and everything. And I love the title of your book because it's literally called, and some people are definitely looking at the way of society, and a lot of people are going back into what used to be called the rat race, because society and some of these corporations are reopening. I know that one of the companies that I worked for, which is a testing company, a grading testing company and everything, I think that next year we will be back virtual and all along those lines, but who knows, at some point they may have us go back into the office. But right now it is probably more economical for them to keep us in our offices on our computers and everything, but not every corporation feels like that. So there are some people that are getting back, including in places like New York and California, back into the rat race, or what is sometimes named as the rat race. And your title of your book is Rat Race Reboot. And I know that one of the things you talked about is this whole notion, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, of this joy of missing out, because definitely some people are thinking that they don't have the right car, the right spouse, the right house, the right situation, the right job, and maybe they're feeling that they're having that JOMO going on, and this joy of missing out. And you also talk about decluttering, which, as I said earlier, is something that I need to do some serious decluttering. I'm looking at my desk and it needs some serious decluttering and all in that space. But if you could just talk a little bit about this joy of missing out, because I know a number of people that have probably missed some grand opportunities because they were had some undue expectations. I'll just put it in that kind of way.
It goes to your saying, the idea of being able to say no.
Right.
And instead of having FOMO, fear of missing out, where we say yes to everything because we're afraid we're going to miss out, you just, and I'm pulling in what you were talking about personality types. You have to know yourself,
right,
and you have to know where you're going. And so you might have a great opportunity that seems really wonderful at face value, but is it in harmony with your values and where you want to go? And if you know that, and you're grounded in that, and you're grounded in who you are and how you work best, you can joyfully say no and have the joy of missing out instead of the fear of missing out, the joy of missing out, knowing that you're on the right path. And you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And that might be resting, which is, that fuels your creativity, right? So yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And just talk about this notion, because I know a lot of people, I mentioned things that will be on people's list during the New Year's resolutions. And one of them is going to be the winter cleaning, which is part of that decluttering and everything. So how is, and especially it's going to be trending all this week, because everybody's going to have that on their list, along with the stretching goals and the weight goals and a number of other things. But how is it, what suggestions do you have to folks that are needing to declutter or to actually get more organized and everything? I'm sure even Nasli might have some things that she wants to declutter as well and everything. But what suggestions would you say for folks that are needing to declutter their situations?
Yeah, always. I'm going to say start with the mind first. Like, what are some old beliefs that keep creeping up that you know aren't serving you. Write them down on a piece of paper. Get them all out of you because they're not you. Get them outside of you on a piece of paper and burn them, rip them up, flush them down the toilet, whatever. Get them out. And then create order in your mind. What do you want? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel in your life? Because you could reach your goal, right? I only want this goal. I want to reach this amount in my business or serve this many clients. But if you're not taking into consideration how you want to feel, like, do you want to reach that level and feel like crap? Be depleted? No. Do you want to give and give to causes that touch your heart? Do you want to love more deeply? Like, who do you want to be as a person? Get clarity on that. Write it down. So that's your guiding light. But also imagine the space you want to work in. Imagine what you want it to look like. Imagine how you want to feel when you're opening your closet in the morning to get dressed. Do you want to feel chaos and confusion? A couple of years ago, I worked with a consultant who helped me with my wardrobe because I had multiple personalities in my closet, and I'm like, I don't know what to wear, and so she helped me create order in my mind and in my closet. So that's something that you can do for yourself. Like, be clear on what you want and how you want to feel in your space, and then create it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in that same space, and this comes back to Nasli, I know that one of the things that people sometimes are wanting to do, and since we're thinking about New Year's, which is literally less than a week away, and everything, I know some people are going to try to figure out how to get their young people, that Generation Alpha, that the app that Nasli is involved with, out of social media lanes and everything. Because while I think it can be a great educational tool, I do know that sometimes, and I've had a friend that gave me a great counter argument, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. But sometimes when I go out to the actual physical restaurant, not necessarily having DoorDash delivered, but the actual physical restaurant, it is just, to me, frustrating if you see a family out and they seem like they're spending more time with their social media than they are with the actual people that they are spending time with, and all along those lines. So I know that sometimes we got to find a way to keep the kids engaged. We want them engaged with the learning, but we also don't want them to be so self-absorbed that they are missing some true bonding opportunities. So Nasli, I just wanted your take on that, because I do know that whether it's here or whether it's in Europe where you're currently visiting and everything, sometimes it can get frustrating seeing some of Generation Alpha literally tune us out because they're too busy in their game world.
Yeah, actually, we put a very nice feature or advice to this Generation Alpha not to dive and not breath from the social media. So we are giving this message to them through our product. We will try actually. Find out some real life targets for you, like going some weekend trip or buying a PlayStation. I don't know, small things. This is not a big thing. Or just saving $500 or thousands of dollars for your college or etc. Put some real world targets. The currency is not important. And then going with your training here, but at the same time, share your targets, desires with your friends, with your contacts, or anybody in world. You don't have to know the person. Just an example, I can send a request or quest to Laura to spend and save, just an example, $500 together in the same wallet in our apps, because this is our friendly target, financial target. And then we will go to maybe a long weekend holiday, or we will buy something together, but we will manage this money together. Then we will socialize, and maybe Laura will teach me something or advise me something while creating this financial target, because this is a journey, maybe a short one, 1 month, or maybe a long one, 6 months or 1 year. But when we are trying to reach our target, final target, we will socialize and we will feed our each other. Actually, maybe we will fail together. We can't spend or save this money, but we will learn. Lessons learned are also important. So Laura mentioned believe and find out what you want to be as a person. So this is a little bit similar thing. Find out your targets. We care about the financial ones because of our business line. Find out the financial targets and share with somebody and work together, socialize plus work together, feed yourself and build something together, and then go through it. It is also important. I'm not sure what do you think, Laura, sharing and receiving some support from somebody is important for you with the reaching while you are reaching target. What do you think about that?
I
not
do.
Not only financial, some life targets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important to surround yourself with people who are, like kind of masterminding, people who are a little bit ahead of you that you can learn from, people who are on the same level as you. You're doing it together, and then bringing somebody with you, and you're positively influencing each other.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
But along those same lines, do you feel, because I used to belong earlier in the year, and some of you may know me that watched this show and other shows, that I was active and I'm still somewhat active when I choose to be in the clubhouse and all along those lines. And I was part of a vocal, like an audio puppet troupe called the Funky Eye Puppets. But one of the things that IPC used to talk about all the time was this notion of once we get into adulthood and adulting, we sometimes forget that childlike wonder and all in that space. I'd love to hear both of your thoughts, because I do think that sometimes we were talking about Monopoly earlier, and one of the things that I love doing every time that we get together at family and all in that space is we play spinners, which is kind of like dominoes, and all along those lines is almost like a family tradition during the holidays, that at some point after dinner and after the food is served, there will probably be some game broken out. And if that game is broken out, it will probably be spinners. But I sometimes wonder that once we get to a certain age, particularly once you get into adulthood of the 20s and even later, we forget that childlike wonder and some of that childlike innocence and everything, and we kind of discourage it. But I would love to know, as a leadership coach, your thoughts around that, because I do sometimes think that we don't do a good enough job of having some fun in our lives.
Yeah, I mean,
this is also gamification, by the way, because you are not walking step by step and concrete with some concrete rules. No, you are joining something, as you said, is a challenge or something. You put a funny steps. This is also real life gamification. So this is good.
Absolutely. And it's better. Play is an essential part of a healthy brain. Right. And so I had a client one time, and I had him write down 50 things that he would do if he reached his goal. Like, how would you be living? What kind of things would you be doing? What would you be buying? What would you be eating? Like, where would you be walking? And one of the things he said was like, oh, this is frivolous. And I'm like, what is it? And it was something to do with basketball and shooting hoops. And I'm like, that absolutely is not frivolous. Go do it. Like that's healthy play that opens up and unlocks creativity. And you're right, Mark. We are taught from a young age in school, when we first start school, is like, stop playing around, focus, pay attention to me, listen to me when I'm talking to you, stop daydreaming, right? But our imagination is the vehicle that helps us unlock our potential. Yes, we have our analytical mind, but that play opens it.
And it's not even just in regular work and day life, I would argue, and I don't know that y'all would agree, but I think that part of the reason, it's just my personal opinion, that some of our society is so big in divorce is because we don't allow play in that part of our life as well. We get very kind of stuck in our ways and very traditional in our ways, and there's not enough play even in relationships. When I have friends that tell me that they are going on play dates, I think that that is one of the most wonderful things that they can do, but I don't know that enough people do that as they get older and everything. I do have some friends that still do it, but I wish that more people would do that and even bring some of the play into the bedrooms, and I'll just leave it at that and leave it at that kind of space. But I don't think that we do enough of that play conversations in our life, and we kind of stuck in those traditional roles and don't want to kind of bend the envelope or stretch the envelope. That's the word I was looking for and everything.
Yeah.
I can add something to that topic. I received a consultancy from a psychologist while I was writing the book, because gamification is so related with the psychology. Right. He was telling, and I also wrote about all these good quotes from him in the book, in chapter 2, I guess. He was telling about that. When we were newborn and baby and small child, we are doing every single daily thing with a gaming. Like when our child is eating something, we are flying a plane, or when we are trying to put their clothes on, we are doing some game. From your families or your child's. But we stop playing or gamified the life. I think after university or something, we are becoming very serious managers or business people or mothers or fathers, and then we stop playing. And people say when you are playing or gamified the things, oh, you're an adult. Come on, do you still play? Games? Yes, I'm an adult, but I'm still playing because it feeds my needs, my personal needs. Actually, he was telling about the hierarchy of needs, as I'm sure you already know. So from starting the top of the hierarchy of needs, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from the bottom to top. In every step, we are, feeding our needs, but gamification plus playing something games, feeding and fixing all of our needs as a psychology and as a daily life. So it is so meaningful. I mean, I'm not talking about playing video games on computer or PlayStation. I'm talking about even when introducing somebody to somebody, you can make some, icebreakers, small games or small discussions. This is also a gamification. It's not about playing a hardcore game. So this is good, and this is related to human psychology. I give too much importance to gamification, and I think it's related what you already told. I wanted to add this point.
Oh, you definitely great points that you added and everything. But along those same lines, Laura, you worked with a number of companies and everything, and you mentioned your military background as well. But when I think of companies that have been successful, and we've had a couple of them here in Durham, North Carolina, or the Triangle, as we like to call this whole area of Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill, that actually incorporated gamification in their success, because a lot of times there will be companies, and this was before the pandemic. I know that SAS had some things that were done very much in that kind of space of rooms that were allowed to do a lot of creativity. I think that on the West Coast, Google had a reputation for having some play spaces as well. So it seems to me that just in my studies, and I haven't worked for any of these companies, but I do have friends that have worked for them, that some of the better companies are those that were incorporating some of this game mentality into their work environment. But you're the business coach. Is that something that you have seen as well? Because like I said, I think that SAS has done it. I know that Google has done it. I want to say even Cree, which is based here as well, has done some of that as well. But I just wondering your thoughts about these corporations that try to bring some gamification even into their corporate environment.
Yeah, I have seen that. And, there's so much more to it than having a pause to step away from the work or stress, to reset, to tap into your creativity, but it also instills trust and connection with other people. And so it builds stronger teams, having that as something that's available, right? So that's a really important part of building a team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. One of the things that we mentioned in a couple of your books, and one of them is a dynamic ebook that you have, Laura. And there are 8. I'm thinking there probably should be 15, maybe 20, but you say that there are 8 life-changing questions that successful people ask themselves to unlock their deepest dreams. And I'm wondering which successful people you talk to and what are these 8 life-changing questions? Because as I read this, I was going like, I've got to ask Laura, what are these 8 life-changing questions? And are there any additional questions outside of the 8, or is it just the 8 that everybody pretty much came with the same 8?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot more than 8, but it was a good starting point. But those revolved around what do I want? If there were no obstacles, what would I want to create? Who would I be? If money were no object, how much would I want to give? How would I want to serve? There was mostly around all of those questions around who do I want to be? How does it feel being me, living day to day? Allowing ourselves to dream, allowing ourselves to consider if there were no obstacles, then what would I want? So those questions were really designed to get people thinking bigger than what's right in front of their faces. Because so often we base what we think we can do based on what we've done. And that's no indication. What you've done is no indication on what you can do, because you're limitless really in what you can do and what you can create. But we tend to play small when we look at what we've done as the gauge and as an indicator as to what we are capable of doing.
But you mentioned 2 questions that I think don't get enough service in terms of the way that we teach people about just business and entrepreneurship. But I can see entrepreneurs that are being successful wanting to answer these questions and everything. But I was just wondering, do you find that a lot of entrepreneurs actually are interested in the service aspect of a life and everything? Because I sometimes think that not all, but some entrepreneurs totally ignore the service part of their existence, and they don't really care about what they can do for their fellow man or to help the larger cause and everything. And I also think that one of those questions might even be, and I think Nasli even kind of alluded to it earlier, what will you do that will be a lifelong legacy? Because part of that, or it might have even been you, because part of that fiscal literacy is also generational wealth and what you're going to do after we leave this planet. I've jokingly said on this show that I'm going for 200. Nobody's made it to 200 unless you want to believe the biblical figures, but I'm also realistic, and the chances that happen are probably dim to none. But part of it, as you just said earlier, is mindset. So I figure if I got a mindset that I'm going to go to 200 until the switch is turned off, I haven't lost anything in that battle and everything. So I'm just going to continue thinking that I'm going to make it to 200, even though there's going to have to be some serious technology advancements, and I might have to do some serious other kind of things and better in my habits and a number of other things to even get there and everything. But as you said earlier, mindset is key. So I figured if I got a good mindset, I can think that I'm going to make it 200. If I get turned off at 65 or 60 or 70 or 90, at least I can tell God or whatever the next dimension is that I set that goal. I didn't say I was going to make it. I just set the goal.
There you go. Well, I mean, in any goal that we set for ourselves, if it's a worthy goal, we have no idea how we're going to get there. And if we think we know how and we know all the steps, then typically we're taught to set a goal, lower the bar a little bit, because we have to know how first. So when you're setting a goal that's really beyond something you've ever done or you can't even conceive of, you want it. Your job is to focus on the what, not the how.
Right.
And when you just keep taking steps, but you have no idea what new advancements will happen in that time. You have no idea what kind of support like when I was giving to a cause that I wanted to. For me, there was one year I wanted to give $222,000. That was more than my paycheck. And I said yes. And I knew I was putting myself on the hook for it. I had no stinking idea how I was going to do it. I was shaking when I said yes, but I wanted it. And I got it funded in 6 months.
Wow.
Had no idea. The only thing that drove me was my desire and the knowingness that I would figure it out. And I did. But we don't often allow the what we want to drive us. We allow what we think is to drive us. And that's a mistake. That's what I mean by we want to make decisions. I wanted to make decisions like a philanthropist, not like Laura Noel, who was earning 100,000. Right?
You want to think beyond your means.
Yeah. And so I think that's key with any of these goals that we're setting. We don't know how we're going to get there. Our job is to figure out the what and stay focused on that and keep taking steps, because anything can happen to advance you there, skyrocket you there quicker.
Well, speaking of that, and I'm going to come back to something that I know Nasli is very much about, but it's actually going to be directed to you, this first part of the question and everything. But Laura, have you thought about doing any business coaching or any kind of the various work that you do, including some of your speaking engagements in the metaverse? Because I do know some people that literally are doing some presentations in the metaverse as well. I think it was actually 2 New Years ago that I did that whole New Year's Eve celebration with Russell and Matt Bop and all along those lines. So it was definitely quite interesting being in that space and seeing people literally having a party. I think I even saw a person doing skateboarding, which was kind of unusual, or a unicycle, because, at a metaverse party, anything goes. So there might be some unusual things that take place, because I was going like, why is there a unicyclist in the middle of this party and all along this line? But it was quite interesting and all.
That's fun. I have not. I'm going to have to do a little research, because that could be some fun play. Yeah.
Yeah, metaverse is another environment that people comes together digitally, and you have lots of opportunity to do everything. I mean, you can set up an art gallery there, for example, and you can buy all of these art pieces through this metaverse. Maybe this is just one example from thousands of examples. Then you can make a speech there, you can meet. Maybe Mark will stream another episode from metaverse with the nice avatars.
Oh, that's cool.
You can be, by the way, you can be a cat or a lion or just a snowboarding people in the middle of a serious meeting. So but it's not only about the freedom. It's an environment for the socialism, for the financial new economics, for an opportunity for brands, for individuals comes together and creates a digital economy and then digital creatives. So this is, I really believe in metaverse, and not only me, for sure. All the big research companies or consulting companies believes that it will reach maybe $8 trillion economy in 2030, maybe in 7 or 6 years. A really good opportunity.
But I knew it was growing, because I know a friend of mine was actually showing literally movies in the metaverse. So they were literally having a screen of the movies, and they also, that same friend, had some images where they were literally out in space. So as you just said, you can be anywhere you wanted to. So they were literally out in space and were walking around in space as if they had the money of an Elon Musk or somebody like that, because they were able to create that kind of environment in the metaverse. So it definitely seems like it is very free form, and a lot of new things are coming up with all kinds of creativity. I didn't know that I could be a cat in the metaverse, so maybe I'll try to live the life as a cat or a dog or something like that.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome and everything. But yeah, who knows that was going to be the possibility of that taking place, and all along those lines. Why do you think, because you mentioned it earlier, Nasli, but why do you think that it is growing the way it is growing, and why do we need a metaverse? Because some people are scared of the metaverse, just like you mentioned. Some people are scared of Web3, but what is it about the metaverse that is causing people to be apprehensive, and why do we need a metaverse in the year 2023, about to be 2024?
I think metaverse is a pool of opportunities and possibilities actually to do something more easier and make things reachable. The most important part is these two things from my approach actually. Of course, everybody finds lots of things there. For example, there are lots of games in Metaverse, but you can ask, yeah, Nazlı, there are lots of millions of games in last 20 years. So why do we need Metaverse to play new games there? Yeah, but in that part, you normally play all the video games or all the small games in the scenario, limited to scenario what this play creators put in the flow of this game. But in the metaverse, you continuously create and not an end. I mean, you don't stop in anywhere, so you continuously create. So you it feeds your creativity, your creation possibilities, and people comes together, work together, meet together, and it's a possibility and opportunity from my side.
Yeah, and that's along those same lines. And I don't know if this is the same thing, but within the metaverse, I've heard of a number of people that, there is limited resources that we have in the world in general. I mean, there is only so many countries, there's only so much land that is here in the world and everything. But I've heard that in the metaverse, there's this notion of digital landscape or digital property. So I do hear that there are people that are literally buying, and who knows, maybe Laura will go buy her own island and everything, because there are people that are literally buying islands that don't even exist except for into the metaverse and all along those lines. But I was wondering if you could speak to that, because I did hear that there is digital property out there and it's not necessarily a physical property.
Absolutely, because I can tell to you, I think 3 or 4 types of function there. For example, as you said, you can make investments by buying some property there, some digital land. This makes you an investor, because it is the similar thing that you buy a house or a land in the physical world. But the good part is maybe the dangerous sentence, but we are creating new worlds and new universes from zero, from scratch to big one. So this is not the only universe. This is not the only physical universe that we have from this time. So we are creating lots of cyber universes, and this is good. It feeds one of another psychological needs for us, because we are creating ourselves something there. And the second role is players. I mean, you play something there. There are endless of games, endless of opportunities to create. So if you are a business owner, or if you're a company, if you're a brand, if you have a product or something physical, you can establish it or publish it in the metaverse and reach 10 times or 100 times of people more than the physical ones. It's another opportunity.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm going there. Another thing that can makes me curious, because I'm a researcher too in my line of work. And so I wonder, part of my doctoral dissertation is on intuition, and in an environment that is like just ambiguous and you've never experienced it before. Yes, you want to use your analytical mind. It's a great tool, but it's better suited, looking at the literature, for your intuitive mind to learn to tap into that. And I'm looking at, well, what makes people more easily tap into their intuition versus other people. And so that's what my research is going to be. I've already done all the survey questions. I'll be tapping into that next semester, but experience is a moderator to leveraging intuition. And so what makes me curious is, what are different ways of gathering experience? Because in literature, there's the 10,000 hour rule or the 10-year rule. And so could a universe like this lend itself to practicing and getting experience in something. Like if I'm speaking to a big audience, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined. It believes it's so. And so I teach people to leverage their brain and their mind to basically to learn how to play your own mind game to trick yourself into the success you want. So I'm really curious now how that lends itself to training your mind in a different way to leverage different aspects of your mind and your intellect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is a good point, by the way, from your side. Maybe a new idea or opportunity will rise with your approach and an idea. That's really good. And I hope I will hear from you one day that you jumped in the metaverse and you are experiencing it. So I will be happy to hear that.
I'll definitely let you know.
Who knows? She might go skating right by you. She might go skating by you in a skateboard. Go skating
as a cat.
Now, one of the things that now is like just on the not so much the negative element, but one of the things I've heard that people are concerned about the metaverse is kind of what Laura was alluding to some degree, which is this notion that sometimes people can put out false personas and all along those lines. So I do know there have been attempts to make sure that there are safety that is being addressed as well. Because even my friend that I was referring to earlier, she has oftentimes talked about how it's a very positive thing, but then you also have to be sure of some of the predatory types that are there as well. So just wondering your thoughts around how the metaverse has been doing in terms of improving on making sure that it is addressing these issues, whether it's around gender bias or race bias or other kinds of biases as well.
From my experiences or from my own perspective, it is similar to our physical normal world, but better. If you're asking how, I mean, in our daily life, for example, I'm in Istanbul at the moment. We have lots of good daily life here, but also dangerous places, as everywhere has actually, in Europe, in United States. I mean, this is normal, unfortunately normalized thing that we have some dangerous or insecure places to go. So when you enter a digital world like a metaverse, you can face a bullying from some other, avatar. So this is also an individual coming from physical world to just connect with his avatars. But the good part is when I see some avatar is just walking there, maybe, for example, a metal or hard rock singer, like, normally you are not like a metal singer or metal a guitar player, normal life, but you can jump to metaverse like that, or a cat, So I am not able to make some bullying just because of his or her race, just because of his or her physical appearance. In real life, we always face about that. This is meaningless. This is unfortunately stupid, but we are facing this. So this is a good part, that you are all the same, a digital twin, maybe kind of a digital twin, or a digital representation of your real one. But there is no, kind of physical building there. Maybe, we are using a headset when we are entering to metaverse. Yes, somebody can shout out me and say something very bad. But in digital world, it is also same. If there is somebody crazy walking around myself in the street, then he or she can shout out me with the, bad words. So as a result, it is, I think, better place, because you are equal with all the individuals there, all the participants. We are not representing our same digital twins there, because I don't have to show real Nazlı specifications there. I can be somebody else there. It is up to me. Or it is better, but it is also similar. So if we care about our security or bullying, digital bullying, or also it is about to protect our crypto wallets as well there, because you're connecting your digital wallet there, crypto wallet, and all the assets that you have are in it. And then if somebody can hack, I'm not sure if it's easy, I don't think, but it happens sometimes. But also when I'm walking in the street in anywhere, in any city in the world, some hijack can happen as well. So it is similar, but I think better.
Sounds like it's a lot better and everything. It sounds like that Laura could go into the metaverse as maybe either Taylor Swift or Beyonce. So maybe we'll see her in the world as one of those two characters and everything. So that could be a possibility where she could come into the world as something totally different and all along those lines. So I know we're going to wind down very shortly. By the way, I was going to just mention very quickly, I did not realize that you were in Istanbul today, but that is actually a city that I spent in, ironically, with the military background, because my dad, who, even though he was very active in the civil rights struggle and is now a known artist here in the Durham area and all along those lines, and mom was in the philanthropy space before she retired, and she's now enjoying retirement and all along those lines. But when I was a youngster, I mentioned being born in 62, so I think it was literally in the fall of 62 or late summer, and I spent my first 2 years of existence as a baby in Istanbul. So that's actually where Dad was stationed at. He was stationed in Turkey and all along those lines. So it's good to know that Istanbul is still hanging and all in that space, because he was in the Air Force, and I'm pretty sure that that's where the base was. I don't think.
And that's where I went, Istanbul, with the Air Force. Yeah, and I'm supposed to be going there again in July.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah. I will. It would be my pleasure to meet you if you visit one time. And I will be in New York for a book signature event in April, actually in 2024. Maybe I will let you know also that event.
For sure.
Both of you. That would be a pleasure to meet.
Love to meet both of you in person and everything. But yeah, just really quickly, Laura, as we get ready to wind down, and there's a question I ask everybody, including how you can be gotten in touch with. And there's a positive message that I try to do with all my guests on all the shows, and anybody that watches the shows knows the question that's getting ready to come up. But what is something that you learned in leadership from military that you still bring with you today and everything? Because like I mentioned earlier, I've got a cousin that is GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and his brother is a military and a retired military, and he's actually working in warp technology with a warp technology company. Yes, there's actually warp technology that's getting ready to take place now and everything in that space. But I know that cousin Emmett is the one that retired, but cousin Jonathan is actually trying to figure out what he's going to do, because he's got some health things that he's got to deal with, and he may be retiring sometime in the latter part of 2024, and he's either going to be a police trainer or he might go and work for Delta, because as he put it, because he loves to travel, I can travel anywhere and I can work remotely. So that might be where he decides to go to work at if he decides to leave the GBI, but he's still got a year or maybe even 2 or 3 years to make that decision. But I'm just wondering, what are some of the lessons that you learned from the military that you still bring with you?
Oh, I would say a big one, and I didn't realize how much of an asset it was until people compliment me on it now. Like when I'm in my practicum experience, working in a company that I've never worked in or a field I've never worked in, doing organizational development, I see the gaps where there's like things missing, and then I can figure it out and work on it. So so to lead well, you just have to tap into the talents of other people and bring those out. So it doesn't matter what position you hold or what organization you're in, even if you've not done that particular work before, if your leadership skills are solid, you can figure it out, because you don't have to have all the answers, and you can leverage the talent of the team around you. Like I said, I changed jobs and career fields in the military so many times and had to learn from scratch, and while I was in charge, and I was only able to do that well because of the team that I had.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, Nazli, before I get to that last question, I was going to get to both of you. What is one of the stereotypes that you feel that people have about Turkey and just some of the other countries that you've been to that you wish people didn't have, or it's one of those stereotypes that you sometimes have to rail against?
Oh, this was a hard question. I'm not sure, but I think sometimes I live in a utopic mindset, not a realistic one. So I really think about that. All the people in world, wherever they live, should care about the latest technology, the latest trends, the latest good things in the world. So not care about the traditional things like politics or some bad financial decisions or something another bad actually. So I really live in utopic mindset and world that people should care about all the things, good things, and developing and making our life more easy and comfortable. So I think my message could be that there are lots of differences, of course, in countries, in cultures, which is enrichment and good thing, actually. This is why we love traveling, we love visiting and meeting with new culture, with new people from different cultures. But, just let's care about the new developed technologies and new developed opportunities to make our life more comfortable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll actually close out with you and everything, Nazli. But as I said, one of the things I get all my guests to do as we close out this show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that y'all will join us again on a future show and everything. But I'll start with you, Laura. The thing that I get everybody to do is share how they can be reached, how they can be contacted, because we do re-air the show several times after it airs the first time and all along those lines. And also, one of the things that call it one of my personal missions is with, as Nazli just said, with all the negativity that is going on around the world, I try to get all my guests to give a message of positivity and hope for the globe and everything. I figured that if there was nothing else, I could do that one little small act by getting everybody to share some positivity that can go out to the world and everything. Because I figure every little step in that positivity can make this a better world and all in that way. So definitely you can tell folks how you can be reached and any message of positivity and hope that you would like to share to our global community.
Yeah. Okay. So if you go to stretchintosuccess.com/rat race reboot, you'll find my book, you'll find the podcast, you'll find freebies, you can connect with me. So stretchintosuccess.com/rat race reboot. And I think as a note of positivity, just as I've been saying about living and making decisions like the person you want to become, if you can visualize the ideal of how you want the world to be and people to treat each other and how you would show up in that world, it starts with us. It really, truly does. When we choose to see others, the humanity in other people, we automatically give other people a different person to respond to. So it all starts with us.
Definitely agree with that and everything. Nazli, ways that you can be contacted if you want to tell a little bit more about this lovely company of yours and a message of positivity and hope. And then I'll go out with a couple of PSAs. But like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I hope that both of you will make a return trip on this show or some of the other shows that we do on the network in the near future as well.
Yeah, that would be great. So I will also share the name of the book again. Transformers by Crypto is available on Amazon for every country. It is in English. And then for the people who are not technically involved, all these concepts, for everybody to easy to understand and a transition for a smooth one. So I hope your community will also read and share the comments with me, because I'm open every single comment to improve for the second book. And I hope I will one day finish development with a good investments, the product for this Generation Alpha, together with my business partner and the team. and then I will share with you as well.
Sound good. And a message of positivity and hope that you want to share with the global community, Nazli?
This is what actually I focused in my previous message. Just care about the new developments and good things happening. Just see and focus with the positivity. And I believe in karma. If you are focusing the good things and the other good things comes to you, I don't know if it's real, but I believe it with my heart. And don't care about the things with the forcing you with the big ego and complexity. Just focus on the good things, good technology or good lifestyle or growth mindset. The most important thing in my life, growth mindset, and do whatever you want and desire. Try at least.
Sense. Yeah, that makes sense. A very positive message and everything. I'll actually go out with some PSAs and all along those lines. By the way, podtv.tv has also started a bookstore. So one of the things that we do is we list all of the guests that have books on the bookstore and all in that space. So both of you, since I know you have books, I'll be adding your books to the bookstore, and hopefully folks will be grabbing them from that as well. Because there are, the last time I checked, I think we were at 130, and some of those are our regular panelists, and there are also people that I have interviewed that have books as well. So then later on this afternoon, both of your books will be added and all in that space. So hopefully that will generate some sales from people listening to the content and also hearing y'all's great insights and all along those lines. So I think I'm gonna go out with a financial literacy person, since we're talking about financial literacy, and I got a friend that runs the Prosperity Financial Services, and maybe even a person that is honoring some of the teachers of the world as well, and not just the teachers, but those behind the scenes, like the janitors and the guidance counselors and a number of others as well. But Laura and Nazli, it's been great having both of you on this conversation. I look forward to seeing you both in the near future, either on social media and possibly even back here on Pod TV sometime in 2024. But right now we're going to get on out of here. But this has been a fun conversation, and I look forward to seeing both of you back in the near future.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Are you looking for money-saving strategies for your business and personal finances? Are you tired of working hard every day with little or nothing to show for it? Contact Prosperity Financial Services, LLC right now for your free financial consultation. Call now to reserve yours today, 804-349-8600, 804-349-8600.
Thank everyone for coming to the 2020 TAF Awards. This was a show like no other, people. This is the Grammys for dignitaries, educators, and support staff around the state of Oklahoma and worldwide. We cannot do this without the support of the people. So we thank you. I thank you for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation Foundation. I thank you.
I won't fold.